This is the New York City FC Pregame Live. Tonight, New York City FC battle against the New York Red Bulls for a spot in the round of 16. And now, here are your hosts, Glenn Crooks and Matty Lawrence.
With these guys. That's Matty Lawrence. I'm Glenn Crooks. Welcome to another pregame live where we share our ideas. We will give you the starting 11 for both sides. And we've got some highlight clips, some interview clips. It's all part of NYCFC pregame live. And it's the League's Cup. There's many other games tonight. I think I'd like to just first ask you at the start, what do you think of the League's Cup? What's been your impression? We've had two games that we've carried ourselves, but just in general.
Yeah, which were really contrasted in terms
of
atmosphere. Like I loved working the Atlas game because of the atmosphere. Of course, the result wasn't great,
right?
But the atmosphere was truly stupendous. And I do think the best League's Cup games are the ones that pit an MLS side against a Liga MX side. I think that's factual. I haven't watched or been present at a League's Cup game between two MLS sides that's really, tickled my fancy, that's really, caught my imagination. Even when NYCFC won 5-0 against Toronto, of course, the result was amazing and we got excited for the 5 goals. We hadn't been used to it. We hadn't been used to NYCFC winning games, and there's nothing disparaging about that. That's factual. But the fact that there were so few people here just made it quite difficult as a broadcast, I think. What we saw on the field was great, but what makes any good football match amazing to work or to witness is a combination of what goes on the field and what goes on in the stand around the pitch as well.
Now, normally, there were 23,000 plus here on May 13th when the Red Bulls defeated New York City in the regular season this year, 1-0 on an Omir Fernandez goal. But our expectation would be we're not going to get near that sort of crowd here tonight. But it'll be an agitated affair, I would think. I think, some and we went down on the field in the pregame. In fact, we're making some of our own in-game adjustments early. I wondered if here's an example. There's Matty, of course, is smiling and fooling around. I'm serious, man. We've got a game to play here today, but you could just it's a very cool stadium in terms of how the spectators are. You get the feeling they're on top of you because it's the very sharp angled in the upper deck. And one thing I've always noticed over the years, having gone to many games here over the years, even when there's just 10,000 in here, it's very loud.
Yeah, it is.
It can still be loud.
It's loud. Obviously, sound just rises, but here the roof is in a good place in terms of it almost keeps the sound trapped within this stadium. And I'm with you. Look, I don't think there's going to be that many people here. Normally when I come to games and I arrive 2.5, 3 hours before a game, when I don't see another soul wearing a Red Bulls or an NYCFC shirt, I know there's not going to be many people here. The ones that are exciting in terms of stadium noise, like the Atlas game when I turned up at City Field 3.5, 4 hours before kickoff. Yeah. It was a party atmosphere in the car park
I remember you
as
saying.
I got there.
Yeah.
And I do understand the timings. I do understand that was a weekend game. I do appreciate that it's very difficult for people to finish work, look after children, and then come to a game, or even bring children to a game that's an 8:06, 8:09 kickoff, knowing full well, even without penalties, you're not getting home with your kids until 11:30, possibly midnight. So, I have children of my own. I appreciate that is difficult to do, which is why we're not going to be seeing that many fans here. But
it's a Thursday night, and it's a little bit later, the kickoff.
It is,
now,
exactly.
But
it's a local derby. It's a local derby. We know that the atmosphere is going to grow on the field here. We often say that the players have to create their own atmosphere when there's not many fans here. The players aren't going to need to create their own atmosphere. The atmosphere is already going to be there. it's going to be on the field. We know that because it's a local derby.
I don't have a Zoom feature on my iPhone, which is giving you the picture here of Red Bull Arena. But under the scoreboard to the left, that's where the New York City supporters are starting to gather. And they'll be a good 500 strong at bare minimum underneath that scoreboard. And that's where you'll see if something positive happens for New York City. The goal scorers of the team will look upward to our left to bring them into play. So, all right, let's 5-0. New York City beats Toronto to get to this point. While the Red Bulls had a more interesting match for sure. Carlos Coronel saved a penalty, which probably would have given San Luis the win in the 90th minute here at Red Bull Arena. And then just a couple of minutes into stoppage time, Dante Van Zer, the Belgium striker, scored his second goal of the game for the 2-1 win. It was his first career brace for the Red Bulls. He's lacked productivity. He's had some issues. He was suspended for what the league defined as inappropriate language. Jeremy Abobasi was involved. We never heard the word that was used. You can guess. Jeremy Abobasi is an African-American, but we were never told exactly why Dante Van Zer or what exactly he said to earn the 6-game suspension. But he's back now and coming off a brace. They're coming off a very emotional victory. So I think that adds to the tenor because New York City's feeling we scored 5 goals. That hasn't happened this year.
Yeah, look, when you look down at the MLS records are almost identical in terms of goals scored, in terms of goals conceded. Goal difference points are obviously the same. And as you say, to add to the similarities in terms of domestic league play, we've now got this Leagues Cup and both teams coming off the back of a good result, an emotional result for NYCFC because of the fact it was 5-0 and it was so convincing. And as you say as well, for New York Red Bulls, the fact they went from maybe being knocked out of the tournament to remain in the tournament in the space of 2 or 3 minutes. So both teams are on a high here, even though really they don't deserve to be because of their league form. But this is a cup competition. Now we're in the knockout phases. It's a one-off 90-minute game. You're the better team. Not the better team. You score the most goals, then you go through. And if it's a draw, obviously you go straight to penalty kicks. There is going to be a result on the night, and you're going to move on to a game that takes place on Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday. So there's a lot at stake here, and it gives you a chance to forget about your troubles, your woes in the league as well. And both teams are suffering woes domestically.
The starting lineups have been announced, and you look at the 11 for New York City FC, just one change from the Toronto match. James Sands, who missed that particular game because of a concussion, he is back, and that's good news for New York City. So he'll be in place of Alfredo Morales, who will not be available tonight. He suffered an undisclosed injury in training during the week, so he's not going to be available for New York City FC. But we know that Mounsef Bakrar is available. He's going to start at striker again, getting his second consecutive start at the number 9. He wears the number 9, and he got his first goal as a member of New York City FC in the match against Toronto.
Falls right on top of Bernadeschi, helps him up as New York City counters with Jason. Jason, one-on-one, cuts to the middle. He's got a player on the left. It's Santi Rodriguez. He receives, shoots, and a save by Sean Johnson. The follow! It's a goal! And getting his opening goal for New York City. What a finish! Mounsef Bakrar! The shot taken by Santi Rodriguez. Sean Johnson dove to his left, but the rebound fell right to Bakrar. And with a right foot, he hammered it into the upper right corner to give New York City the 2-0 lead.
You heard Matty Lawrence chuckling because so often we've talked about Sean Johnson as a member of New York City FC. As good as he was, and certainly MVP of MLS Cup for good reason with 2 penalty kick saves, so often he left rebounds in front of the goal as a member of New York City FC. A lot of times he didn't suffer for it, but at times they did, and he did in that moment. But it was a great fit. That's a striker's finish, right off the half volley and roofing it.
Yeah, it's a nasty little laugh from me because I was imagining what you were saying, and I was imagining what was going on in my head. And I just know that we discussed it at length, Glenn, and it wasn't just over one season, it was over. It seemed to happen specifically in the last 2 or 3 seasons that Sean Johnson was at NYCFC, and him just offering up those rebounds in the middle of the goal, time after time after time. They're simplistic saves. That wasn't a difficult save against Santi Rodriguez, and it should have been so easy for him to push it out. But look,
the important part of the story,
Bakra is the recipient of that poor goalkeeper, and the strike was majestic. It really was. You don't strike the ball much truer than Bakra did, and as any centre forward wants to do, they want to open their account early when they join a new club. They want to open their account early in training to prove to their teammates what they can do, and then they want to prove to the watching public and their own fans what they can do in a game situation as well. I thought it was a really good finish, and I know that will give him confidence moving on. I'm not saying that he's going to go on and score 10 goals in the next 10 games, but it's going to give him confidence. And in front of goal, what we want to see from any centre forward is you shoot on sight. We want our centre forwards to be selfish, not totally selfish that they sometimes waste opportunities of passing the ball, but most of the time, if you've got that opportunity to shoot, I want to see you shooting. You've got a 9 on your back for a reason. You're the best goal scorer in the team. You're a centre forward. Let's see you. Let's see what you've got. And we certainly know that he does have the ability to be a goal scorer, even though he's very, very young.
So he's 22 years old, a U22 initiative player. You're probably wondering about the new announcement for New York City FC. Julian Fernandez, the 19-year-old Argentinian, and Burke Risa. Neither one of them are in New York as of yet, still working on the paperwork and the visas. I would like to ask you about Julian Fernandez, who Nick Cushing said is essentially a like-for-like replacement for Gabby Pereira. They have some different qualities, but how would you describe him as far as a winger who might be able to do some of the things that Pereira did, who left the club to go to Qatar? 6 goals, 3 assists, the leading goal scorer for New York City.
Pereira is more of a finished article than Julian Fernandez, which should be assumed because of their ages. Julian Fernandez is only 19. He's not 20 till the back end of January. I watched an awful lot of him in the Argentine league, and I think that he is one for the future. He will come in, and certainly I would imagine he will start on the bench until he gets accustomed to the league and to his teammates. But he's a great dribbler. He's very similar in stature to a Richie Ledesma and to a Gabby Pereira. He may be a little bit taller, but certainly in terms of build, he's that similar wiry frame, I would describe it as. But he has got that ability to just ghost past opponents. I don't think he will score as many goals as Pereira just yet. He doesn't provide enough assists. But that's what you get with young wing players. You get inconsistencies. It doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah.
I remember watching Ryan Giggs when he was 16, 17 years of age, playing for Manchester United. He was good enough to play in Man United's first team, but he wasn't producing what he did 5, 6, 7 years later. So let's not think he's going to come in here and suddenly transform NYCFC right now. He's not. I've seen him over the last 2 seasons for Vélez Sarsfield. I've seen him an awful lot. I like him. I think he definitely offers something a little bit different than Pereira. I think he glides past opponents slightly better at times, but I don't think he has as good finishing product as Pereira does just yet.
Well, they're anxious to get him in along with Risa and anyone else, maybe including Maxi Morales. That's certainly the reporting that we're always attempting to get confirmation on. The club really is avoiding the Maxi Morales discussion, but some reliable sources on social media have indicated the deal is nearly complete. And NYCFC source actually put out there that they believe that Maxi Morales will be in the building tonight. So Chris Sakonis, one of our part of our broadcast crew here, it's going to be his job to go find Maxi Morales and see if he's truly in the building tonight. The Red Bulls coming off that 2-1 win again to advance here. Philadelphia plays DC United in the Leagues Cup tonight, and the winner of that match plays the winner of this match, which is okay. But again, like Matty said at the top, we really want to see MLS versus Liga MX. And I think, privately we've discussed, and now publicly we'll say, it's almost like you want to see enough Liga MX teams win in advance so that we, in these quarterfinal, semifinal, final, we get that sort of a matchup. You can't dictate that, and there's more MLS teams than Liga MX teams.
Yeah, I certainly understand all of that, but
I know
I want MLS to win overall. I want an American team or a Canadian team to win the tournament, but I want it to be an MLS, whether it's Inter Miami against Monterrey or whether it's NYCFC against Club America, whoever it may be. I want it to be sides of either league. I think it will make a better showing as an all-round spectacle. I really do.
No, I'm with you on that. New England Atlas at 8 o'clock. They'll kick off at a similar time. That's Philly DC United also simultaneous kickoffs with Pumas Querétaro. So you've got two Mexican teams playing each other tonight as well. Charlotte Cruz Azul and Leon RSL. So maybe you get home in time to see that if you're at the at Red Bull Arena tonight, or if you're home, you can just switch over to it. I think that's an interesting one too. The winner will play LAFC, who have been on standby coming off their MLS Cup title, and they'll join Leagues Cup in the round of 16 against the winner of that one. Any final thoughts, Matty? Oh, Messi played last night.
I
2 goals and an assist. So in 204 minutes now, all in Leagues Cup, Lionel Messi has 5 goals and 2 assists. And
he's quite a good player, so I don't think it's really
it's not
something that we wouldn't assume, or it's not surprising. And
no, we're not going to be surprised.
When you're the best in the world, or one of the best in the world, and you're playing against people who played for Wake Forest or played for Syracuse or played for Stanford or Harvard. Not Harvard, maybe, not anymore. But it's not surprising that he comes out victorious or as the victor. I think it's when he comes up against better players and better teams, plays against a good LAFC team, plays against a Monterrey maybe in this, and maybe gets kicked up in the air a little bit more than this at the moment. He's being completely protected by referees. I watched a lot of last night's game. Messi was committing fouls and getting away with it. People were fouling him and picking up yellow cards, and understand that as well. I'm not saying there's a directive coming through, of course, to referees.
Maybe no directive, but it was pretty evident last night. The penalty was soft, and but it was interesting also. Felipe, who is probably best known for his time with Red Bull New York in MLS, and in particular in the Hudson River Derby, there was a hate of Felipe if you're on the New York City side. Just ask Patrick Vieira, who I think suffered a red card post-game when he got into a little scuffle with Felipe. That was the report. But Felipe went at Messi last night. So
somebody's got to. That's the thing, too. To make it more difficult, you've got to get in and around him. Look, I understand kicking him, of course, but what you can't do, and what's happened far too much at the moment, is they're giving him so much respect, and I understand why. They're standing off. And the goal last night where he just ran through 6 players without the ball, and they all just let him run through, and then he chests it down on the 6-yard box and volleys it home. It just can't happen. I understand that, giving the best player in the world respect, but he's going to keep scoring goals. He'll have 10 in 300 minutes and 20 in 400 minutes if you keep giving him that much respect and that much time and space.
All right, well, that's going to do it for us. We've got the entire live commentary, Hometown English Radio, coming up. Sync it up with your video. The New York City FC Network, which is nycfc.com/radio. That coverage begins in about 10 minutes at 7:45 Eastern. Then the full match here from Matty Lawrence and me, Chris Sakonis with us as well, hosting halftime and postgame. All right, that'll do it. Red Bull New York, 11-2-2 lifetime against New York City here in this building being a Red Bull Arena in Harrison, New Jersey. Enjoy the game, everybody.